Good day, friends. It is me, HLModTech, and I am back with another fun, fast Tinkercad tutorial. So let's get cracking. This is a fantastic fidget created with Codeblocks. A teacher reached out saying Codeblocks does not look the way it used to. That is a fact. Friends, I took a look at this awesome tutorial. You definitely should follow them. I'll make sure there is a link in the description. Here's how you can build it now. Of course, friends, step one is to sign in with Tinkercad. I always choose sign in with Google. Hit create, and we're going to make a brand new code block. I always start by naming it. It is going to be called Fidget and Gyro. Now, the first thing we need to do is create variables so this thing can grow. We're going to click right here with create variable, and the first thing I want you to type is number of rings. That adds our little variable down here. We want to bring out the set variable. Once again, we're going to click down here and switch to the variable we just made. And now I want you to repeat that step, making all of these variables. Ring width. After you create the variable, you can duplicate and change it to ring width. And then we're going to create one called height. Another called ring gap. Another called first ring width. The next is inner radius, followed by rotation, and then I'm adding one called sides. Now we can duplicate the pairs and duplicate the four and get these all switched. This one would be height, followed by ring gap, followed by first ring width. The next is inner radius. The next is rotation. And then finally, the sides. Let's fill in the numbers we're going to use. We're going to start with 3, 3, 4, 2, 1.25, 11.75, 0 on the rotation, and then 64 for the sides. Once again, friends, huge shout out to Aaron for setting up all this math. I will have a link to his channel in the cards. Make sure you take a moment to give him a subscription. Now, to help keep this on the screen for us all, I'm going to nudge that over, and we're going to do some more math over here. Now we're going to make some more variables. I want this one to be called ring size difference. And then we'll bring it right out here beside us, and we're going to set it to ring size difference. I need you to just continue creating variables until you have all of these created. With them all created, now we can right-click and duplicate until we have 5 blocks to work with. Simply match the names until you notice I made a mistake with outer width. This is what's so slick though, is I can come down here to the variable and I can rename it to current width, and check it out, it updates in both locations. And finally, the last one is cone height. Now we typed numbers for all of these. We are going to build sweet mathematical functions for these. I'm going to move them down here so we have more room to build our formulas. We are going to build formulas from the math area. Bring out the plus math, and we're going to start using these variables. We're going to drop the ring gap in here, and I want to highlight you drop them with the left edge. If I try the right edge, nothing happens. So it's ring gap, and then it's plus ring width. And then the same thing I said before, we're going to do the left edge in the ring difference box. It's that easy. Now the math does get more fancy. We're going to bring out another one of those plus. I'm going to show you how to duplicate it, and we're going to nest a pair of these. So on this side right here, we're going to use this ring size difference. Notice left edge drops it in. We're going to keep the math, set it plus. And then over in this chunk, we're going to switch it to minus. and it is going to be the number of rings variable, showing you again, left edge to drop it in, we're going to subtract 1, and then grab by the math to put the left edge in the hole. I'll just show you right edge does not work. Then you can grab this piece of math right here and drop it in the combined rings. Bingo. Let's reuse this. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to do duplicate. I am going to break it apart and I'm going to throw away both variables. Good to know how you clean things up. We're going to switch this to plus and plus. And we're going to put our combined rings in the first hole. Find that first ring width left edge in the second hole. And then finally put the inner radius in the last hole. Built a new piece of math with the same framework. Grab it by the operator. Notice if you grab this one, it breaks it apart. And drop it in the outer radius area. At this point, we can set our current width to the outer radius. So we're taking the math we just built and we're using it. And we're going to go up here to another math operation. And we're going to do ring gap plus 1.4. Once again, thank you, Aaron, for the awesome math. Now I'm going to set these up here so that they're kind of out of the way as we start building. So we define things now using templates. We need a template for a peg. When you click OK, it'll give us the template and it'll give us the part that actually builds. I'm going to throw this away for a moment. We'll bring it back when it's time to show off what we built. We're going to build with a shape called the cone. When you bring it out, we need to expand the properties. This number we're going to type, it is 0.3 and press enter. The bottom radius, we're going to use another formula. So we go back to math. And this is going to be the variable height divided by 2. We can now pick this up and drop it in the bottom radius hole. And we're going to use the variable cone height, which we calculated earlier, for the height. Sides we'll leave alone. We need to move this where we want to use it. So we're going to do that with a modify command. Bring out your math operator, choose divided by. This time we're going to find the cone height and we're going to divide it by 2. And we'll drop it in the Z location. Real quickly, let me show you how this works. If we go to templates and we do create from peg, if we hit play, you can see that all of this math is getting completed, and then bingo, our design shows up. I do want you to see that it is at 0, 0 because we just moved it up like that. Once again, I'm going to throw that away for a minute. I don't need it as I build. And let's add our next shape. This time it's going to be a cylinder. When we bring out the cylinder, I want to drop it in that template peg. We're going to expand it. For its measurements, we're going to do that height divided by 2. Check this out. If you right click, you can duplicate. There is your height divided by 2, and we can drop it in. For this piece, we want the height of the cylinder to be 1, and then I'm going to bring in my sides variable to make it smooth on every side. We do want to nudge this up, so we're going to do that with a move. Once again, drop it in. We do need to change the height, and it is going to be negative 0.5 and press enter. Let's create a group. I'm going to shut off multicolor, and I want this to be orange. And we're going to add one final rotation. We're going to keep it X, and we're going to make it negative 90. We do want to put in the pivot. Once again, we bring out this cool little piece of math where it goes 0, 0, 0. I'm going to real quickly bring out my create from peg so you can see how this looks. Speed it up, hit play, and there is our awesome little part. Once again, I don't need the peg at this moment, so I'm going to just get rid of that until I actually build with it later. We are going to define our second template. This one is going to be a special hole that we use for the project. Notice it once again gives us our 2 parts. I am not going to create from the template hole yet. We are going to build these quite similar. Once again, under shapes, we are going to bring out that cone, expand its properties. You must make it a hole. This is super important. We're also going to make it a little larger, so this is going to be 0.35, and press enter. We are also going to use math to calculate the bottom radius, bring out one, duplicate it so we have two of them. We are going to do the height divided by 2, but this time we want to make it a little bit larger. So we're going to drop this in that hole, and then when we're all done, we're going to add 0.75 to it. We can then pick that up. Notice if you miss and grab the wrong spot, it breaks out. So I'm going to set that back down. Make sure that height divided by 2 is on the left. Grab by the math, and we're going to put that in the bottom radius. And then we're going to bring out another chunk of math here so we can calculate the height. This one is going to be cone height. And we're going to add 1 to it. Once again, making the hole that we're going to cut with a little larger than the peg. We need to add a move to get it where it belongs. Of course, it is going to be calculated as well. Once again, duplicate so we have 2 of those. It is going to be the cone height plus 0.2 and press enter. And then we're going to divide that by 2. Grab the math, get that left edge lined up, and drop it in the hole. Grab the math, and we're going to put this in the Z location. We do need to rotate this. Watch this trick. We can grab the other rotation, duplicate it, drop it below, and then to test these, move to our template area, and bring out the peg, bring out the hole. Of course, I got the speed up, and when we hit play, bingo, there are our 2 parts we're going to use. Once again, though, I'm going to throw them away until it's time to really build something. Friends, it's time to actually start building. Our final template is going to be called Gyro Keychain, and this is where it actually becomes pretty epic. Click OK. We're going to throw that away for a moment. Bring out the Define Keychain. I'm going to scroll to the top so you got a better view of everything we're adding. And let's start with a cool shape called the tube. When we drop it inside, expand its parameters. Click on those variables and let's add them in. The first one, our radius, is going to be the outer radius. Notice these are alphabetical. As you track them down, the wall thickness is going to be the ring width. That'll be in the R's. The height is the height. And then our sides will fill in just like that. At this point, we are going to set a variable. Set your current width. Do make sure you swap it. And we're going to do some math. Bust out those math operations. And it's simply going to be the outer radius minus the ring size difference. Once again, these are all awesome calculations built in everything we did above that help make this project work. Under control, we're going to bring out a repeat. We want to make it rotate 2 times, and we're going to create from the template of the hole. Of course, once we bring it in, we do need to move it to the correct location. This move is going to use one of our variables, the current width. We're going to chase that with a rotation. Do make sure you switch it to Z. And then we're going to bring out the variable rotation. And of course, we're going to put in that 0, 0, 0 pivot. Now, after we rotate the first time, we need to change that rotation. So switch to the change rotation. And we need to put in the number 180. So that way it's going to go to the other side. Now we can make it a group. Notice I put that below the orange one. And then we're going to reset our rotation so it's ready for the next part. So drop in a set, switch it to rotation, and we want it to go back to 0, just like it was when we started the project. I'm going to scroll down, and now we are going to create from the template of that cool keychain we just built. We're going to switch our control to a count width, variable I, and we are going to go from the number 2. We're going to bring out a math chunk, and we're going to set it to number of rings minus 1. So it keeps changing every time. And then drop it in the 2 location. At that point, we are going to add another tube. Go to your shapes, find your tube, drop it inside, and expand it. We're going to go to our variables, and we're going to bring in the current width. It goes where the radius is. And then we're going to bring in the ring width, wall thickness, and then the height is in the height spot. And then once again, this sides one will make it smooth. It is time to add our pegs. Now remember, we want 2 pegs. So we're going to put a repeat, change it to number 2, go back to our templates, and we're going to create from that peg. Of course, it needs to be followed by a move. Drop it underneath. Notice you got the 2 orange below it. And it's going to move the variable current width in the Y location. Notice there's a 0 on both sides of it. We also need to rotate. Bring out a rotate. Once again, drop it in between. We need to change that rotation to Z. And then we need to bring in the variable rotation and put it in that gap. Of course, also bring out the XYZ000. And finally, reuse that change rotation. I love clicking on those blocks, duplicating, and just bringing them down. We are going to wrap that up with a modify, create group. Now we're going to build our next ring. I'm going to scroll so you can see this better. Now we're going to do a little bit more math. We need to change some variables. Let's pick our change rotation. We want this to change by 90. And we're going to set the current width. So drop in a set, switch to current width. Notice they are alphabetical. And we're going to do this with the math operators. We do need 2 of these. Once again, you can duplicate or just bring out 2 of them. It is going to be the current width. And then we need to subtract the ring gap plus the ring width. Grab those 2 and drop them in. Then grab this chunk of math and let's put it in the current width area. With our pegs in place, it's time to create the holes. Move to your templates. We are going to create from the template hole. Track down your move command. And it is going to be filled with that variable current width. And we're going to repeat the rotation. So notice if we duplicate, it gives those 2 pieces and we can drop them right below axis Z, rotation, and the variables, and change the rotation by 180. Scoot up here, find create group, and drop that underneath. Friends, before we go any further, check it out. I made a mistake on the hole. We want 2 of these, but this is how cool it is to fix it. We can just bring out our repeat, and when we drop it in, it's pretty easy to get it to surround the chunk of code we were talking about. So we needed 2 of those holes, and then after they went around, then we want to group it. At this point, let me show you what we built so far. If we zoom out a couple clicks and hit play, you can see there is that first ring with the second ring, and there are little holes in there so that this will spin when it's complete. Friends, it's time to bring this home. Move up to your shapes again, and once again, we're going to find the tube. Make sure you put it below that repeat. And of course, we need to drop in some variables. The first one we're going to do is the current width. Don't forget these are all alphabetical. Then we're going to find the first ring width. Then, of course, we're going to bring in the height. And then finally, the sides to make it smooth. Beneath that, we're going to switch to the control, find a repeat, change that repeat to 2 times. We're going to go back to our templates, and we're going to use the peg. It needs the move, rotate, and change, so we're just going to duplicate that chunk, bring it down, and drop it below. Finally, under Modify, we are going to create a group and do one final move. Once again, bring out your math variable, and it is going to be the variable height divided by 2, which we've used more than once or twice. Simply drop that in Z. Really quickly, I'm going to make the colors different just so it's cooler to look at. I'm going to make that one purple, and I want the top one to be blue. Friends, this is where it gets magical. When we hit play, it draws almost instantly, and if you zoom in, check it out, you can see there are holes at all those locations so that the pins will be floating when it's finished, and you will have a fantastic gyro fidget. Friends, as I wrap up, I want to say thanks to Aaron for the awesome code. What a fantastic project. Of course, when you're done, if you want to 3D print it, you click Export and you choose STL. I always save mine in my 3D modeling folder, and I'm going to call it Fidget Gyro. I already made one earlier, so I'm just going to replace that. I do want to highlight that you can instantly change the number of rings and make it so it turns out absolutely different. Notice that time it has 5 rings. You can have a ton of fun exploring different numbers and having fun as you create these. I am sending the original one to the 3D printer right now. Let me show you how it turns out. And friends, here we are. This is the Soul Ball SV06. As you can see, it spins in every direction immediately off the printer. What a fun and fantastic project. Friends, as I wrap up, let me remind you about my website, HLModTech.com. I've got the page dedicated to Tinkercad with a ton of awesome categories, and then right below it, the first day lessons. These are great for anybody that's just starting out in Tinkercad. Friends, I also want to highlight the super cool built-in messaging. You can click that button, add your question, comment, or suggestion, and reach me almost instantly. Friends, I do also want to highlight the link to the Tinkercad Community Discord. As you can see, there are more than 600 members, and it's a fantastic place to talk everything Tinkercad. Finally, friends, of course, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. Please also hit that share button so more people can learn about HLModTech. Of course, friends, you absolutely make my day if you take time to leave a comment down below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Smash that subscribe button, and last but not least, hit that notification bell if you want to be the first to know when there's a brand new video from me, HLModTech. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.